Our next witness I'd like to introduce is Lynn Ozer. Ms. Ozer is the Executive Vice President of Small Business and SBA Lending at Susquehanna Bank, located in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Ms. Ozer has represented the National Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders, where she has served on the Board of Directors since 1988, I believe. So thanks for coming, and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you. Chairman Graves, Ranking Minority Member Velasquez, and all the members of the committee. As Chairman Graves mentioned, I am the Executive Vice President at Susquehanna Bank, where I manage SBA and all government guaranteed lending throughout our bank's four-state footprint. Susquehanna Bank is a Pennsylvania state-chartered bank with approximately $14 billion in assets and operates throughout 223 branches in the Mid-Atlantic states. Susquehanna is active in both SBA's 7A and 504 programs, currently holds a portfolio of approximately $300 million in government-guaranteed loans. I'm also here representing more than 700 members of the National Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders, NAGL. For the past 23 years, I've served on their board of directors, and for many of those years, I've served on their executive committee and as chair of the technical issues committee. NAGL's lender members are responsible for approximately 80% of the annual 7A volume, as well as most of the lender portions of the SBA 504 loans. Thank you for inviting me to testify and for holding this hearing on the important issue of small businesses' ability to access capital. In the interest of time, I will submit my full written testimony for the record and provide just a brief summary. I want to begin by publicly thanking the International Franchise Association, IFA, for taking a leading role driving the discussion on the direct correlation between access to credit, job creation, and economic development. Because of the exemplary efforts, both NAGL and IFA, today we have a 7A loan program that is much better able to meet the capital needs of America's small business. And it is important to note that the IFA work on this issue did not end with the passage of the Small Business Jobs Act. Approximately a year ago, while we were working on credit access issue on different tracks, NAGL and IFA began a dialogue that we have continued. Through those encounters, we came to realize that there is a significant overlap in the issues affecting both organizations' memberships, and to note that each group has much to learn from each other. So IFA and NAGL have forged a partnership intended to increase the availability of capital to franchise small businesses. A highlight of IFA's ongoing efforts to address the credit issue was the Credit Summit that IFA organized and delivered in April. Bill Hall, chair of IFA's credit committee, has briefly described some of the things that IFA is doing, but because neither he nor IFA will tout the organization's work to bring attention to this important issue and IFA's continuing commitment to this effort, I want to do that for him and them. I also want to specifically mention the exemplary leadership shown by IFA's CEO, Steve Caldera, who has worked tirelessly to highlight the important role that access to credit plays in creating jobs and increasing economic output. The most important message that I can bring to the committee today is to reiterate what you already know. SBA loans are critical to keeping small business segment of the economy, the biggest job-creating segment, healthy. We're seeing signs of economic recovery, but for a variety of reasons, accessing capital continues to be difficult for small businesses. Lenders want to be able to provide this necessary capital, but they're experiencing a perfect storm of circumstances that together serve to stifle the conventional small business activities, lending activities. So how are banks meeting the credit needs of their small business customers? Many lenders are increasingly turning to SBA loan programs, and in particular to the SBA 7A loan program. Having a healthy 7A program is essential to keeping credit flowing because SBA is the single largest provider of long-term capital to U.S. small businesses. Its loan guarantees account for well over 40% of all long-term small business loans made in America. From the lender's viewpoint, a key benefit to the 7A program is that it takes less capital to support an SBA loan than it does a conventional loan. From the small business viewpoint, the SBA guarantee allows increased access to capital, particularly to the kind of financing that appropriately matches the loan term to the life of the loan assets being financed. That is, finances long-term assets with long-term loans. According to the federal statistics, typical 7A loan has an average original maturity of 12 years, while conventional small business loans typically have an original maturity of 3 years or less, with a significant majority of those loans having maturities of 1 year or less. Longer maturities allow small businesses to access capital that would not be available to them if repayment were required in substantially shorter periods. The importance of SBA lending to small business clearly demonstrates by recent demand for the program. According to SBA, in the last 2 years, the 7A and 504 guarantees enabled private sector lenders to provide approximately $42 billion in loans to small business. However, the success of the 7A program this year is causing a new problem. Based on the loan approvals to date, it appears highly likely that the program demand will exceed the $17.5 billion program level ceiling set by congressional appropriators. This means that it is likely that the 7A program will have to shut down sometime late this summer unless the Congress acts to raise the program level. In order to avert this potential program suspension, NAGLE, on behalf of its members, is requesting that Congress act now to increase this year's program level for SBA's business loan programs to $19 billion. This increase will not affect the budget because sufficient appropriations are already available to support the increase to the program level ceiling. We know small business lead the way to creating new jobs, and we know that having a vibrant small business segment in our economy is vital to continuing the fragile economic recovery that we are seeing. We also know that keeping SBA's 7A and 504 loan programs available to meet the capital needs of tens of thousands of credit-worthy small businesses that now have nowhere else to turn is equally vital. Do I still have time left? Okay. Sorry. That wraps it up, and I will be available to answer any questions.
You'll have more opportunity when we get to questions.